So welcome to today's day text. I'm Greg Stafford. We meet every morning during the week, Monday through Friday, to discuss a portion of the biblical text. Sometimes I'll bring in non-biblical texts that are related to the biblical text. Like yesterday, we dealt with 1 Clement, a letter that was written by an early Christian who's named in several New Testament documents, but whose letter is not usually included in the biblical canon. But 1 Clement is written, appears to have been written by a first century Christian known to Paul and to others, and who was active in serving during either the persecution of Nero, or Domitian, or both, as Clement died around the end of the first century. So there's a lot of good material in 1 Clement. 2 Clement's not considered as authentic. But we will discuss texts that pertain to the Bible in one way or another on these day text shows. So we're working our way through Philippians chapter 4, and I'm going to read verses 4 through 9 today, and I'll just get right to it. And then we'll have a brief discussion, and you're free to share your comments and thoughts, but more than anything else, try to retain from today's text something that will keep you encouraged and that you might be able to share with others. So, starting in verse 4, Paul writes, "You must always rejoice in the Lord. Again, I will say, rejoice. Your kindness must become known to everyone. The Lord is near. You must not worry about anything. Rather, in everything, your requests must be made known to God with prayer and with pleading, together with thankfulness. The peace of God, which is far beyond all thought, will protect your hearts, even your intentions, in Christ Jesus. Ultimately, brothers, however many things are true, sacred, righteous, revered, pleasing to look upon, or things worth honoring, or if there is any deed of moral excellence, or if there is anything which you can applaud, you must think about these things. These things you also studied and you received. You heard and you learned with me. You must practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you." So there's several points here, and then I'll tell you what I found, well, I don't want to say necessarily humorous, but I got some joy from, and a little humor. So first, let me point out in verse 6 what we've no doubt read in Jesus' words about not worrying about anything. We recall Jesus' explanation to those following him that no one can add one bit to our life by worrying. We can't accomplish anything by worrying. Now, we can accomplish something by planning. Sometimes, planning and worry get intermingled because we have to plan. And sometimes our plans are a little distressing, or we're concerned about whether or not they will be fulfilled. But it's still not going to change anything by worrying. In fact, if we plan properly and we rely on Jah and we trust in Him, then it's more than likely going to come to pass. Sometimes things we plan don't come to pass because we didn't plan effectively, or it wasn't something we were meant to do. And by meant to do, I mean something that was good for us to do. We might think at times that something is a worthwhile endeavor and find out that it's not. So just because we don't fulfill our plans doesn't mean we were a failure. It just means that maybe those weren't the right plans for us after all. But worrying isn't going to change anything one way or the other. Just plan properly, reevaluate if things go wrong, and then adjust as you need to in order to see the matter through. Now let me jump down to verse 8. So in verse 8, let me make a contrast here with what the world serves up to us on a daily basis. And by the world, I mean, just like John wrote, everything that's set up in opposition to Jah. The desire of the flesh, the human searching after glory for each other, applauding things that are dishonorable. I see that all the time. I mean, it's like society has decided to serve up the opposite of everything that is honorable. And so we could find ourselves very easily being entertained or applauding or even promoting something that is disgusting, because they're very clever about how they package entertainment nowadays, and even music. And of course, there are religious thoughts and ideas and groups that promote things that are not true or that are dishonoring to Jah. We can't control them, and if they're allowed to do what they do, then the best thing for us is to either deal with the issue or avoid the issue that those types of people are promoting while we're focused on the great message. But the way he talks about things pleasing to look upon. Again, remember we talked about in prior day texts how we're very visual creatures. We can be affected one way or the other based on what we are observing. So when we allow ourselves to sit down, for example, and watch something that is disgusting, unless we're going to deal with it in a righteous manner, it can affect us. It can cause your mind to start dwelling on disgusting things. We don't tell people what to read, what to watch, or even what to do. We trust that those who worship Jah, follow Jesus, and who are trying to treat others the way we want to be treated will make the right decisions. We each stand before Jah and Jesus based on what we choose to do. However, we can remind each other and ourselves by considering these texts. He's talking about anything which you can applaud, anything worth honoring. I'm sure in your society, wherever you are, and even in mine, there are things that we can look at and say, that's a good thing. I'm going to give a hand. I'm going to applaud that. That's worth honoring. And then there are dishonorable things and actions that we should never find ourselves promoting or considering as something worthy to honor. But when you look, all right, so here's what made me laugh. I started thinking about the dishonorable things that Hollywood and other sources of entertainment in this world serve up to us. Basically serving up garbage on a regular basis. I mean, I sometimes go to movies. I have 3 kids, and I enjoy the occasional show, and I'm constantly noticing symbols and attempts to subtly influence people towards a very dark intention. A lot of anti-Christian behavior is obviously displayed over and over again. So it's very difficult to applaud anything in this world. But what I had found humorous about that was, how at least on YouTube and elsewhere, we get these shows now where they review these movies. I start laughing just thinking about it, because some of these shows that are torching these movies, really. I mean, they'll take some of these movies that most people are going to watch to be entertained. They're hoping for a good movie, or it's part of a genre like Star Wars, where they're expecting a great classic film, and then they are disappointed, and as a result of all this garbage that the world has been serving up, all this dishonorable material, you notice what's happened is that all these channels, these YouTube channels and other channels, are just torching these movies. They have all these different channels. I'm not going to name them necessarily, because you can find them yourself by just searching the title of a movie. But movies aren't getting away with it as much as they used to. They used to be able to put their movies out, and they'd have their little review sections and maybe a show on which films to watch on TV. But now, if you put out a bad movie and it's garbage, then more than likely you're going to be reviewed by some of these alternative media movie review channels. And it makes me laugh sometimes when I see how much people who go to these movies to be entertained are noticing that is wrong. They're not even approaching it, really, that I can tell from a Christian perspective. It's not like they're analyzing it and pointing out everything wrong in terms of what Jah or Jesus would say. They're just regular people in the world who are hoping for a good movie, and it's so bad The movies have become so bad, from the story to the acting to the promoted material. I mean, some of the movies are just so horrifically full of garbage. Like that Jennifer Lawrence movie, Mother. That was one of the sickest sacks of garbage ever put on film. It was dishonorable in every way, blasphemed God, totally misunderstood everything having to do with history, and doesn't even appear to have included a devil character. They made God into the devil. So it was completely disgusting, horrible in every way. I don't mind saying that at all, because some of these things are just pure trash. There's not one redeemable quality about them. So keep in mind this text above all others. Verse 9 too, where he talks about practicing these things. You know, he talks about how we studied and received and you heard and learned with him. And you do the same with me and I with you. But if we don't practice these things, if we don't to some extent refuse to applaud dishonorable material, well, then we're helping promote it. If we don't avoid these disgusting forms of entertainment and attempts to undermine our faith, we're not going to be as effective. I won't be as effective if I allow myself to continue to soak in all that material. So I'm saying this more to myself than to you, but I know also that to the extent that you choose to praise Jah and follow Jesus, you will be more effective and much happier if you avoid these negative, depressing films, and you don't allow hypnotic, depressing, vulgar music to saturate your mind. It's very difficult. I like music. I like certain beats. I even like the beats of certain, rap songs. But then I hear the lyrics, and it's like, what? I can't enjoy that. So I don't, I don't just listen to music because I like the beat. It might interest me. It might get me to listen at first. But if I start to hear words promoting witchcraft and abuse of women and all this garbage talk, I can't really enjoy the other parts of the song, the music. So be very careful. It's up to you. You make the choices. You stand before Jah just like me. But I recommend you stand with the greatest strength of mind that you can. And you will only be able to do so, I believe, by not allowing these dishonorable things to infect your mind. Rejoice. Paul says, always rejoice. And he says it again. Again, I say rejoice. Verse 4. So that's the attitude we should have. Very difficult in this world, because the second we stop this broadcast or whatever else we're doing to praise Jah and Jesus, we have to deal with alternative thoughts, other information that isn't going to be building us up in the same way. But that's what we should expect. This is not the world set in place by Jah. This is a temporary world that Jah is allowing for the purpose of a judgment. So I'm going to go ahead and post this text. A lot of good thoughts here, but I focused a little bit more on verse 8 only because I sometimes do get joy out of watching some of these YouTube movie review channels, and they do a good job sometimes of pointing out all the things wrong with some of these movies, and it's not hard to see. But it is hard to find good entertainment nowadays. So do the best you can if it's something that you find it will benefit you. Otherwise, we'll continue to build these associations. So I noticed we have a couple questions on the day text, but more so about unrelated issues. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and post this here. Someone asked me which translation I'm using. I, for the most part, use the Great Message translation. That's my translation. I've been working on for years, and it's posted online at the CWJ forum. So we'll be publishing the book of Proverbs probably next year, both the translation of the Greek and the Hebrew side by side, so you'll have the benefit of both. And but as I was talking to someone else earlier this morning, any Bible where you can praise Jah, promote belief in Jesus, and treat others the way you want to be treated is useful. Just because the Bible doesn't use God's name, maybe everywhere it should, doesn't mean it can't be used to help people see that God's name should be used in those places where a certain version doesn't. You can always use a version of the Bible to teach the truth. I don't think there's any version of the Bible out there that isn't going to give you what you need to promote belief in Jah as the one God, Jesus as the Messiah who fulfilled the law of Moses, and that we should treat each other the way we want to be treated. So I use my translation because it's the one I'm most familiar with and the one I'm working on, but we don't have any requirements. Use whichever translation you can use to bring joy to your life and share truth with others by proclaiming the great message. So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Today's Friday. No day text tomorrow, but I will be doing the CW Jah Talk show. And I believe we're going to start that at 8. We had started at 9. I'm going to check on that time. Look out for the tweets and Facebook. I know someone had mentioned at the time I was starting the CW Jah show was a little late for them. So I'm going to continue to try to accommodate all time zones. And to that extent, be alert for updates. Also, updates on the YouTube transition for the day text, probably starting Monday. But I will send out an update so everyone knows for sure where to join me, whether on Periscope or YouTube for our Monday day text. And then Sunday, another great message episode. So it's all about Jesus this weekend. If you join me tomorrow, whatever questions you have about Jesus, anything, pretty much, we will talk about. And then the great message on Sunday, I already have essentially what I want to talk about. I'm going to include some pictures and information as well in the middle, just like I did last week, so that you'll not only have the information I'm presenting audibly, but then you'll also have some visuals to go along with it. But I look forward to joining you tomorrow on the talk show. Keep your questions coming. I'll do the best I can to answer most of them, and I'll provide as much details as possible. So I look forward to that. I always enjoy meeting with you in the morning like this so that we can start our day off praising Jah.